A very good evening to one and all present here. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all for the second event of Microsoft Clubs of Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology. With blessings of our founder, Chancellor, Colonel Dr. JPR, we are organizing into this session on Introduction to Git and GitHub. With the constant support and motivation from our Chancellor, Dr. Maria Gina Johnson, ma'am, President Dr. Mary Johnson, sir, SDC lead, Dr. Kishore, sir, and finally, our staff coordinator, Dr. Vignesh, sir, I welcome you to this event. On the behalf of School of Computing and Microsoft Learn student ambassadors, I extend my warm welcome to all the participants and the host of this event, Kamal Sharma, who is gonna be the speaker for this session. Now, over to Kamal for this session. Let's begin the event.
Thanks, Rizzi, for your wonderful introduction. So yeah, we'll start now. I'll just open my slides. Okay, so welcome to one and all present here. My name is Kamal Sharma, and I'm working as an intern in Mr. Cooper. And today I'll be taking a session on Git and GitHub. So you might have heard this term a lot of times, or maybe not, but that's completely fine. But if you're gonna be a software developer or gonna be in the technical side of things, right? Like it can be anything. It can be like creating websites, automating some day-to-day tasks. Like if you're into all those stuff, what I would recommend or anybody would recommend is you to learn the concept of Git and GitHub. So let's move on with the slides. So yeah, this is the agenda of today's session. Like first we'll be seeing like what exactly Git and GitHub is. Next I'll be walking you through how to create a GitHub account, and next I'll be showing you how to install Git in your system, right? And after that, I'll teach you the basic concepts of Git, such as what's a repository and how to clone a repository, and all this other stuff. So these are the concepts which we are gonna see in today's session. So yeah, how to set up your Git and GitHub account and everything. So yeah, let me give you now before everything, right? I'll be giving you a lot of examples so that you can understand the concepts a little bit clearer. So let's talk about the term called Git. So you might wonder like why Git came before. I'll tell you like how Git came into existence. Well, the inventor of Linux, right? Linux kernel, to be specific. Well, what happened was when he was coding that kernel, a lot of people started contributing to it. So it was getting harder to keep a track of who is contributing to which file or which module, because Linux has such a very big thing, and it will have a lot of modules, right? So to keep track of who is adding what file and what code, he came up with the idea of Git, which will help him keep track of all these changes whatever these people are doing. So that's why it's also called as a version control system, because usually what happens is like when we have a project, right? What we usually do, we create a project folder one, and we'll be adding some code in it or any report or whatever it is. And next, after some time, let's say after a month, you might want to update the project, but at the same time you may want to keep the old project also. So at that time what you can do is you can use Git. So using Git, you can easily go back to the previous time and see like what you have added, and in the current time what you have added, that also you can check. So that's what Git is. It will help you keep track of the changes that you have done over a long period of time. And it is typically used for text files, because text files are easier to handle. But it's not like you have to upload only text files. You can add anything to Git. It can be an image, it can be a video, but that's not recommended because those are static files. It's not going to change anytime. And let's say about like what's GitHub. Now let's say you are making all these changes. but these changes, it will be present only in your system. It won't be present in anywhere else. So to make a platform available so that the other developers, right, can collaborate along with you, we have GitHub. So in a short term, what I can say is Git is a tool which will help you keep track of the changes that you have done over a period of time. And GitHub is a place where we save all these changes too, like an online cloud platform where we can save all these changes. So that is what the terms Git and GitHub mean. Uh, if you are clear to this part, just put yes in the chat box so that it will be like a confirmation for me that you have understood. If you have not understood, feel free to put a message that you have not, and I'll be more than happy to take up your doubts. Okay, so thanks for the confirmation, Chris, Tanvi, Rishita, Danush, Aditi, Arun. Nice, it's good to see responses. Now let's move on to the next slide. So you may or may not have a GitHub account. So now I will, guide you through the steps involved in creating a GitHub account. So I'll stop the presentation from the, from my another laptop, and I'll show from a Windows one, like how to create it. So I'll just present my entire screen now from this system, and I hope I'm still audible. Right? Yeah. So what you have to do is just go to your favorite browser and type GitHub sign up. Once you do that, what happens is you'll be having lots of links. So just click on the first link which has join GitHub. So when you click on that link, like what happens is it will redirect to this particular page. And for some of you, it might be in the other way also. Like for some of you, it can be like this black color thing. But again, this is just an animated version of the same thing. Okay, so let me try to give a username. This is similar to your Instagram IDs or LinkedIn profiles, right? It should be unique. That is, nobody else should have taken this particular name. So what I'm gonna do is, let's say, what shall I give? Okay, let me give us a Raghav DGRT. That's the first name which comes to my mind, so I'll just yeah, or maybe some other name. I'll give it as Festus. Yeah, I'll give it as Festus DGRT. Festus means happy in Latin, and it is from one of the books which I read, so I'm just giving the name as Festus DGRT. And I'm just gonna give my email address. Um, so when you are creating your account, you have to give your address, not mine. Okay, at gmail.com. And once it's done, you have to set a password for it. And I do not want any updates from GitHub, so I'm just gonna unselect that choice. And we have this verify option. You may wonder like why they added this feature in the website. Well, this is the age of automation. Okay, so what these people do is some people might automate this signing up process using Python. So to prevent that, they have added this particular feature so that only the humans can identify which is a spiral galaxy and create account. Just click on create account and it will send uh, a launch code to your email address, whatever you have given. So I'm just gonna check the email from my other laptop. So it will be over here. And I'm not gonna open the mail and show it to you. I'll just type the code directly. And use this system OTP, so 35751 So yeah, and I'm the in this account only I'll be using. So I'm just gonna click as just me, and I'm gonna select as student because I am a student. So I'm just gonna click continue. And what are the specific features are you interested in? Well, I would like to collaborate and perform some stuff. So, and I also like to host some of my projects over here. And I also want to contribute to some community. So I'm just gonna select these options. You just select whichever is applicable to you, and just click on continue. Anyways, you can always skip the step because in this we have skip personalization, but I'm just gonna walk you through what to do. And I'm just gonna choose the free option, and so you're greeted. And this is it. This is how you create your GitHub account. So this is one of the topic. So if you're clear to this part, just put you know yes in the chat box, just for confirmation sake. Yes or clear, anything will do. Like if you have understood, you can also try to create it alongside, like while the session is going on. You can just switch the tabs, and you can also try creating if you do not have a GitHub account. Anyways, this recording will be shared to only those people who have filled the feedback form. So it will be in the meeting till the end. So yeah, this is how we create the you know, GitHub account. Now I'll stop the presentation from here and screen share from here, and I'll share the next slide from here. That entire screen. Hello. So we have completed with the creation of GitHub account part. So next is installing Git in your local system. If I am not wrong, most of you will be in your Windows system. So I'm just gonna show the steps. I'll show you the demo on how to install it in your system. Okay, so after that we have, yeah. Now let's see how to install Git in your system. And I'll stop the screen share from here. And from my other laptop, okay, fine. So I'll just share the screen from here. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So now what you have to do is just type git scm, or git for Windows. Just search for that, or you can go over to this particular link which I'm gonna share in the uh, what do you say, the meeting chat. T.ly/git club hyphen git hyphen links. Now let me go to this meeting link, and if I go over to this particular link, right, it will redirect me to GitHub gist. In this, I have added the instructions which you have to follow to install Git in your system. This is my documentation only. Okay, I have only added all this documentation part. So just click on the first step. You have to download Git for Windows, because I believe most of you are in your Windows operating system. So I'm just gonna share the steps of the Windows users. For Linux users, I think the Git will be pre-installed in your system. If not, you can install it with your package manager. Yeah, okay. And for Mac users, I guess I can install it using Brew. So yeah, that's the thing. So I'm just gonna click on download for Windows, and I'm gonna click on click here to download the latest version. And depending on your internet speed, it will take some time to download. Mine is pretty good, so I guess it is downloading very fast. Let's see. But yeah, it will download it. Okay. And once that's downloaded, while it gets downloaded, I will go to my file explorer, and if I go to my this PC, we have this local disk C, right? Usually, I prefer installing all the applications in one particular folder instead of the default location. By default, it will get installed in either program files or somewhere else. That thing I do not like. So what I prefer is I prefer creating a folder. I'm just gonna name the folder as Leo because it's short, and I'm just gonna install Git in this particular system, in this particular folder. So if I go over to the downloads, it has downloaded it. So let me open that in folder, and once that is done, double click on the downloaded file, and there might be a pop-up from the system saying like you have to give yes or no. Just give yes, and you will be greeted with some pop-up which looks similar to this, the one which I'm sharing. So just click on next, and like I said, right, it will be installing in a default location. Well, I do not prefer doing it in this way because it is hard to keep track of stuff in case something goes wrong. So I'm just gonna install it to the Leo folder. So I'm just gonna remove all this stuff and just type Leo. Like if I go over to my file explorer, inside Leo, as of now there is no folder. Okay, and now if I click on next, I like the default option as it is, so you can just click on next. You can click on next again, and if you do not want Git to appear in your start menu, just select this. But I want, so I'm not gonna select this. So just click on next. I'm pretty much comfortable with Vim, so you can also do the same thing. And yes, these days most of the repositories they create with a name called main. Like usually, previously it used to be master, but since it represents slavery concepts and all those stuff, they have renamed from master to main. So by default, I want my new repositories, whatever I create in my system, to have the name as main. So I'm just gonna select the second option. Next, I'm gonna click on next. The default options are pretty good, so I'm just gonna click on next. Again, once again, I'll click on next. Next again, and yes, for here also just click on next. Pretty much everything you have to give next only. Like in between alone, it will change. Here, just enable symbolic links. This will help you while you are creating your project later on. Yeah, and just click on next again. These are just experimental features, so that means it is not stable yet. So do not select any of these experimental options and just click on install. Once you give install, right, there will be a folder which will be created inside the Leo folder. So like I said, a new folder has been created and it is installing all these files inside that. So we'll just wait for some time till it's getting installed. And once that is done, just unselect the release notes because you won't be needing that, and you can just launch git bash. And if it is successfully installed, you will be greeted with this particular screen, this particular terminal kind of thing. Another way to cross check if you have installed correctly is in any location in your system, right? It can be anywhere. I'm just gonna maybe in downloads itself. Anywhere, if you click on that white space which is there on the right hand side, you should be able to see this option, git bash here or git GUI here. If you see these options, that means the git has been installed successfully and correctly in your system. Another way to cross check is just go to search and type command prompt cmd. Okay, yeah, type cmd, open the command prompt, and you can type git space hyphen hyphen version. So if you get a message, that means that the git has been installed successfully in your system. And after installing, there are still short steps which is involved. Now we have created an account, right, which has the name Festus DGRT. So if I click on my profile, click on this and go to your profile. I have this URL in my like the URL which you get, right? There, whatever is there, that is the username that you provided while you have created the account. So you have to inform that we have GitHub account to the Git, so that we can whatever files which we have in our system, we have to push it to we have to make sure that that is available in GitHub also, right? Because we want to collaborate with a lot of people, so we have to configure that. So just type git. I'll be typing this commands in the meeting chat. Don't worry about that. Bro, is the procedure to download it is also mentioned in the link that you have given? Yes, it is given, Rushi. So yeah, git space config space git space hyphen global. I guess yeah, global. And you have to take user dot name. And if you just press enter, by default it will be blank. So what you have to do is you have to give a space and give your username, which is uh, for me it is fastest DGRT. You have to give your own username, and after that we have to provide our email address as well. So same way, just type email, and you have to provide the the email ID which you use to create your GitHub account. Okay, I'll just close it and open my command prompt again. So yeah, git space config space hyphen global user dot email, and you have to give the email which you use to create your GitHub account. So this is the email which I used. So I'm just gonna click that, and once that is done, just press enter. To cross check if it has added correctly, just remove the stuff, and if you press enter, you have to be able to see the stuff which you give. Same way you can cross check for name, and just press enter. Yeah, you should be able to see the name which you configured. So this is how you install and configure Git in your Windows operating system. So if you are clear to this part, just let me know in the chat box. Okay, thanks for your confirmation, Arun. Yeah, I just have the sidebar. Okay, then let's move on to the next topic. So I'll stop sharing from my, the Windows PC. And one thing in Windows is like, anyways, I'll come to that point. Okay, I just stop share from here. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Entire screen, allow. So we saw how to install Git. We also saw how to create a GitHub account. Now let's see how to create a repository. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log in into this. What do you call? The account which I created in my Windows in the system itself. So I'm just click on sign in, and it has automatically synced. So I'm just gonna click on sign in now. Oh, hey. It has sent a verification code to my email address, and the code is and it has verified. Yes. So yeah, we repository is a new term. You may or may not know what it is, but let me explain like what it exactly means in terms of Git. You can consider repository like maybe online folder where you are just adding all your files and it's just saving it. One way to imagine a repository is in that way. Another way in which you can imagine a repository is think of it like a box, and you're just gonna add all your files in it. So it's just like a container where you are gonna push your files, or add your files. That is what exactly we mean by a repository, a container where you can store your files, and which is available online. That's a repository. Okay, and now let's see how to create one. Like one way is you can just click on create repository, which is present over here. So I'm just gonna use that. So just click on that, And once that's done, repository name, like I said, right? It's like a folder name. So, okay, there are some messages coming this way. Let's see what it is. Done. Okay, awesome. Now let's see how to create a repository. Let me give some, relevant names. You can give any name, even this you can give. But let's try to give some, relevant names. So I'm gonna give like, git hyphen basics hyphen session. I'm just gonna give that because it is relevant, right? So I'm just gonna give that. And if you want, you can give a description. So yeah, I think I'll give a description now. This repository is created as a part of Git and GitHub session. Now, this is a short description which you can give, and you can whatever code or whatever repository that you create, right? You can either have it for yourself or you can make it public. Since this is just a setup repository and not a big, government service project, I'm just gonna make it as public. And yeah, if here we have the option like if you want a README file, well, you can consider a README file like let's say you have a book, right? And you have the index page, and in the index page you'll be having a list of topics or content which you will be having in the book now. A README file is similar to that. Like it will just give you a brief, or it will just tell what the repository is about and what it contains. It's for that reason we use a README file in a repository. And regarding git ignore, well, I'm not gonna select this because it is not related to any language. Um, what git ignore does is, let's say you have a password which you need, which you have stored in a file because your project needs it, and let's say you do not want this password to be shared to anyone. So what you can do is you can create a .git ignore file, and it will just ignore that particular file which has the password, and it will just add all the remaining files and will store it in GitHub. So that's the purpose of .git ignore. And the next we have the license. Well, like the description says, a license will tell what the other people can do with your code. Let's say you have built an awesome project, LMS. Let's say you have built a LMS, and it's very cool, but you have not given any licenses or anything. So let's say another person just copies your code and makes it into a very big business. So the thing is, will be at a loss because you wrote the code, but someone else is being benefited by it. So for all those reasons, it's a good practice to have a license. But since this is just a, what do you say, session, but when you say, I just there are a lot of licenses to choose from. You can always Google each one of them and learn more about it. I'm just gonna choose the MIT license because it is an open source one, and yeah, I'm just gonna click on create repository. And once that is done, you should be able to see a page which looks similar to this. So this is how you create a repository in GitHub. So if you're clear to this part, just let me know in the chat box. Hey, thanks for the confirmation, Arun, Abhi, Tanvi. And yeah, thank you for the confirmation. So let's move on with the next topic, which is, I guess it's cloning. Yep, it is cloning. So we had configured Git in our Windows system, right? In a similar way, I have to configure Git in my Linux system as well. So what I will do is I'll just run a script. I'm just gonna specify my GitHub username. I guess it is pestis trt if I'm not wrong. And I guess email address is rksmrc@gmail.com. I'm just gonna press enter, and I'm just gonna have Vim as my editor. And default this is just a script which I wrote which will set up Git in my system. And once that's done, what I have to do is I have to go to my profile. I have to go to settings. This is just for Linux users, not for Windows users. This is just for Linux users. I'm just gonna create a new SSH key and just paste it, and I just say get session. Anyways, I'll be removing these keys after the session ends, so no point in copying the SSH key. And I'll be deleting this account as well. This is just for demo purposes because I do have my own GitHub account, and why will I have multiple GitHub accounts? So yeah, now let's come to the next topic. Now that I have configured Git in my Linux system, let's come to the next topic, which is cloning. As the name suggests, we are gonna replicate something. So what we are gonna replicate is, we created this repository, right? Let's go to our profile, or just, and if you go to the repositories tab, we have created a repository. So we are gonna replicate this entire thing, like whatever files we have. We have two files here. Okay, we have the license file and the README file. So what cloning does is, whatever you have in your GitHub account, like in online mode, or in the online cloud platform, cloning will fetch all these files to your own system, like to your local system. The laptop that you're using, it will bring all these files to your laptop or in a PC, whatever you're using. So now let's see how to clone a repository. The steps are very simple. Just click on this code, and since most of you are Windows users, you can just click on this HTTPS one. I think by default it will be HTTPS, and HTTPS full form is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and yes, just means secure. So just copy that link. This is just for Windows users. Anyway, the steps are going to be the same thing. You have to just copy the URL, and once that is copied in your system, just go to one particular folder where you wanna create a repository. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna create a new folder over here called GitHub underscore repos, and inside this I'm gonna clone my repository. Windows users, what you can do is, once you have decided where you're gonna clone, or where you're gonna get all those files, go to this address bar. You can go, you can just click on the address bar and it will go. That's for Windows users. Since I'm using Linux, I'm gonna use Control L. Control L is applicable for Windows users also. So after typing Control L, just type CMD and press enter. It will open a command prompt in that particular location. Another thing, there are multiple ways to clone. Okay, either you can clone using command prompt, or you can clone using the git bash. It's up to you. But I'm gonna do using the terminal. So I'm just gonna open terminal in this particular folder. Like if I give dir or pwd present working directory, it is inside that correct folder only. Like inside home, it's present in that folder correctly. So to clone a repository, the command is git space clone space and the repository URL, the one which you have over here, right? The repository URL. So I'm just gonna, yeah, maybe I'll change the color of the terminal so that there is some sort of difference. It's completely dark, right? One is blue, one is black. So I think it will do anyways. I just paste it. And so once that is done, for the first time in Linux users, it will ask you to verify the fingerprint. But for Windows users, it will not ask. For Windows users, it will ask only like the first time you're gonna push your code, not while you clone. So yeah, now it has cloned the repository in my system, and I guess you can remove the newly joined one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is how you clone a repository in your system. And if you open this folder and see, we have the two files, the ones which we had in our GitHub account, right? We have the license file, we have the repo name. Whatever repo name you have given, the same name will be there in your system as well. So yeah, that's the thing. So this is how you clone a repository. And cloning will bring all the files which is present in your Git to your system. So this is what cloning means. So if you have any doubts regarding this, just put it in the chat box. And if you're clear with this part, just type clear or yes in the chat box. will be just a confirmation for myself, so that you have understood something. What's the code to clone? Okay, I'll put it in the chat box. The command to configure. First, I'll type the command which I use to configure. Git space config space hyphen hyphen global user dot name. I'll just type the command which I use to configure first. User dot name then space your username. Like you replace that whatever is there in triangular bracket with your username. And next, after you've configured your username, you have to configure your email address. And once that's done, what you have to do is to clone a repository. The command is git space clone space the URL, whatever you copied from the GitHub. This is the command which you use to clone a repository. I hope it's clear till this part. Which one is better, bro? GitHub desktop or Git bash? Yes, that's a very good question, Narasimha. Well, my answer is Git bash, because the thing is, whatever project you build, right, it will be hosted somewhere in the cloud. And what these cloud providers will do is, they will not give you a GUI where you can, deploy the project. I mean, some of the cloud providers do, but in most of the case, they don't. They will just give a IP address where you can log in and execute the commands. So at that time, if you have practice using the GitHub desktop application, you will be at a loss. Like you'll be wondering like what is the command to use. So my advice is start using the Git using commands only. That will help you a lot. Command prompt says not Git is not recognized. Something Git is not recognized. Well, okay. You might have steps from. I showed the steps how you have to install. You might have skipped some of them, or what you can do is wherever the Git is installed, right? Just open that particular folder. Maybe I'll stop the presentation from the Linux and show like what I mean by that. And I'll show you. Like wherever you install Git, right? Like I have installed Git in my local disk C, inside Leo, inside Git, and inside bin. We just have to add this particular path in your environment variable. Just go to search and type edit the environment variable, and just add the path over there. Edit the system environment variables. Okay. I'm not permitted to do this, so like that's how you usually do it. You have to go to the environment variables and add the files. Add this particular path. Maybe I can show over here. I can set up stuff. I don't think it's okay. In setup stuff, I'm gonna show how the environment variable looks. Like when you click on that, edit the environment variable thing. So when you search, you'll be getting a screen which looks like this. Edit the system environment variables, and just click on environment variables. And once that's done, you'll be greeted with a screen which looks something like this, or maybe this. And like in the user variables, right? Instead of Kamal Sharma, you might be having your name. So just click on the path and click on edit. And in the new line, you have to just paste the you have to click on, after you click on edit, just click on new and paste it. Like whatever you location you have installed Git, right? The bin folder. Just copy it and just paste it after you click on new, and just click on OK and click OK everywhere, and just open command prompt after that and type again git space hyphen version and check. It will work. So I hope that answers your question, Rishita. Yeah, you're welcome. So I hope the doubts are clear. So I'll just move on with the next topic. So I'll stop my presentation from Windows and I'll continue my presentation from Linux system. So yeah, we covered the cloning concept. And next comes, which is the committing concept. Which we also saw like what Git is, what GitHub is, and yeah, like how like Narasimha mentioned, GitHub desktop is just a GUI, which is which will act like a middleman between the Git and your GitHub account, which is hosted online. You'll be signing in into your GitHub account, in the GitHub desktop application. I would not recommend you to use GitHub desktop, but if you're a beginner, for maybe 1 month you can use, but after that try using the command line alone, because that's the recommended way in the industry, not the GUI way. So yeah, let's see how to commit the files. So yeah, we have this folder in our system, which is Git basic session. Let me try to open this particular folder using VS Code or any text editor. Let me open the VS Code. Let's see if it works. And I'll just go to documents and GitHub repos, Git basic session. I'll just click on OK and open that particular folder in my VS Code. VS Code is another application in which you can open text files, but it's mostly used for project purposes. So yeah, so I'm just gonna click on trust authors because I'm the one who is doing it. So I do trust the authors. I'll just maybe zoom in a little bit so that it is clear. And let's try to create a file in our local system. So I'm just gonna click on this new file. I hope it is clear. I'm just gonna click on that, and I'm gonna click like file1 .txt. It can be any file. I'm just gonna have as a text file, and I'm gonna add some content like this is file1 from the Linux system. It can have any content, but usually what you'll be having is you'll be having some codes like hello.py, something like that, and you'll be having some code like print hello world, some code. This is how it usually is. But I'm just gonna give show examples using text files. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove the file, and I'm just gonna have the file1.txt. So let's say I've added some more lines. Okay, like this is line 2 and all those stuff. And usually, what you have to do is you have to have one empty line at the end of each file, because that will denote the end of file. Yeah, it denotes the end of file in most of the applications. So yeah, let's say we have this file, and I have saved the file. Like I have given a file and save. Okay, you can also use Control S to save. I have saved it, and now if I go to my repository and refresh, it is not there. Okay, so we are gonna see how we can bring this particular file which we have in our system to GitHub. Okay, so let's see. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a terminal inside VS Code. Terminal. You can either go to click on terminal and then go to new terminal, or if you are a shortcut guy like me, you can use Control plus tilde symbol, and it'll just open a terminal for you. So yeah, this is how you open a terminal. Like I'll just close it and show, like file, new terminal. This is how you open it. And once it's done, to check the current status of the repository, because we have not yet informed Git that we have added a file. We know that we have added, but the Git, right, it still doesn't know that we have added a file. So let's check with the status of this repository. So let me try to maximize this and show. On branch main, because I have given default branches main, right? It says like file1.txt is not tracked. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna inform Git that we have added a file. So there are different ways in which you can inform Git that you have added a file. One way is you can type in a Git space the file name directly, like file1 dot Git space add space file1.txt. We can specify the files directly. Another way in which you can inform Git that you have added a file is just type git space add space dot. What it will do is it will go inside all these subfolders. Let's say I have a folder called folder one, and inside folder one, let's say I have another folder called folder two, and let's say in folder one I have f1, I mean folder one file one dot txt, and let's say in folder two I have folder two file two dot txt. What git space add space dot will do is it will recursively go inside all these folders and it will add all the files inside the subfolders also. That's the difference between git space add space dot and giving the file name directly. So I'm just gonna remove this folder because I just wanted to show you what add space dot actually does. So I'm just gonna remove this and I'm just gonna specify the file name, or maybe I'll just use a dot directly and press enter. Now if I check the status, right, bro, is this possible in IntelliJ IDEA also? Yes, it is possible. But before that, what you have to do is you have to install Git in your system. After you install Git, you can open the folder using IntelliJ IDEA and IDEA, and you can work on that. But I would not recommend any IntelliJ application because they're really very heavy, man. Like it takes up a lot of RAM, and even the installation process takes up quite some time, and will occupy a lot of storage as well. So yeah, I just prefer VS Code for everything. So if I check the status now, it knows that we have added a new file. Like it has been informed, like it knows. But do you think still it will be visible in the GitHub? No, it won't be. You can refresh and check. It won't be. So again, what you have to do is you have to give a message. You have to create a checkpoint that you have created a file. So how exactly do we do that is we use the git space commit space hyphen m. M here means the message, and just double quotes, and try to have relevant messages in your commit messages. You can also have this, but again, let's try to have a relevant file like created file1.txt. Why I'm asking you to have a relevant messages is, let's say you have worked on a project, but after 1 year you want to see like what exactly you did at this particular time. So if at that time if you have given some random names, you will not be able to identify. So that is the reason why I'm asking you to have relevant commit messages. And once that's done, whatever changes that you have done, it has been successfully saved in your system. It won't be reflected in GitHub yet. Like if I refresh, right, it won't be reflected. And by default, right, whenever you create a repository in your system while you are cloning, the Git, the tool which we are using to keep track of changes, it will create a remote called origin, okay, which will point to this particular repository. So if I give a git space remote and press enter, you can see that it has a remote called origin. This origin will point to this. Consider origin like a variable which has the value of this particular URL. Like imagine it in that way. So it is pointing to this. So when I give a git push now, and if I press enter, it will automatically detect that I'm planning to push it over here. So it's for that only we have these remotes. Again, it's not necessary that the remote name should be origin. You can have any name. You can configure that on your own. So if I go to the browser and refresh, okay, oops, and refresh, you can see that whatever file which I had, right, the file1.txt, it has appeared in my GitHub account. So this is how you commit a file or commit files in GitHub. If you're clear to this part, let me know in the chat box. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take it up. If you are clear with the concept, just type clear or yes in the chat box. Okay. Thanks for the confirmation, Arun. Okay. Thanks for the confirmation, Rashita. And yep. So yeah, this is how we commit files. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is branching. Before that, let us committing without adding file will add automatically. Well, no, you have to first inform Git that you have added some files, and after that only you can commit. If you try to commit, it will say Git is not informed or something like that. Another way in which you can commit is you can use the -a, and then you can directly commit. But I'm just gonna go in a step-by-step fashion so that everyone can understand like what is to be. Okay, now let's see about the branching concept. Okay, so usually when we work on projects, right, what we do is we create let's say um, let's say we have this project 1_version 1, and I'm just gonna paste it multiple times, and version 3, and this is like version 2, and this is version 4. Usually what we do is like in the first month when you're creating the project, you might be saving it as version 1. In the second month, I don't know, after some time when you code, you'll be having it in the version 2. And let's say after some time you code, after some time in the sense after months or weeks, you may be creating a new, you might be just copy pasting the same files and modifying, because you want to see what you have done in the previous versions. So what Git there's a solution for that. You need not do this. What you can do is, instead of creating these multiple folders, you can just create branches. Okay, and what these branches will do is, it will have the previous code along with some new code. So let's see how to do that. Instead of creating all these multiple folders, let's see how to create a branch in GitHub. Well, there are different ways in which you can create a branch, but first let's check out the branch which is created by default. It should be main, because we have configured that as main. So let's see, git space branch, and we see, I think I'll just type all the commands which I used: git space add space dot git space commit space -n, and the relevant message, and then just git push. For Windows users, when you try to do the git push for the first time, it will ask you to log in. So yeah, you just click on that and it will redirect you to the Windows, and it will open it in your browser, and just have to log in with your GitHub account there, and you have to just authorize it. That's just for Windows users, and it will happen only for the first time you are trying to push it. So yeah, it has listed out the branches which is present. Now let's see how to create a new branch. So git space branch space -n will actually rename it, and let's see what to do. Let's create a new branch. What you do is git checkout -b, b for branch, and the branch name I'm gonna give it as test. And if I give git space branch, it shows that now it is currently in the test branch. And if I go to my GitHub account, there also I can see the list of branches. If I click on main and see like there are no branches present over here, that's because we have created the branch locally. So there are different ways in which you can create a branch. Either you can create a branch over here. Let's say I'm creating a branch called what is this? GitHub. I'm just gonna give the branch name as GitHub, and I'm just gonna click create a branch. And like here we have two branches, like we have main and GitHub, but in our system we have main and test. So before pushing it to GitHub, let's create a separate file over here in the test branch. Let's say, and this is file2 from branch, which is test. and I'm just gonna save the file. And like before, git space add space dot, we are informing, and git space commit space hyphen m created file 2 in branch test, because you have to give relevant commit messages. And here's a slight change. Usually we use git push, right? So at that time what happens is it will push to origin, and in the origin we do not have a origin in the sense this thing, right? In here we don't have a branch. So git space push space and origin space, and what you can do is you have to specify the newly created branch. Like here we have the test, right? So you have to specify that whatever you created. And what this will do is it will create a new branch in our GitHub account, and we'll also push the files whatever we have added. See, it has created it, and if we go to our GitHub account and refresh, it has three branches: main, GitHub, and test. But let's say check in our local system, git space branch. We don't have a GitHub branch. Let's try to bring the GitHub branch which is present over here to our local system. Like I said, there are different ways in which you can create a branch. One way is in your system, another way is in the browser, and then you have to again check out to that particular branch. And after that, git checkout. Before that, you have to give git pull, because you have created a branch in GitHub. So you have to pull whatever is there in your GitHub account to your system. Pull in the sense you have to get all the files. So just press enter. And now if you check, git space branch. What is this? Okay, what I will do is I will go to the main branch first. Git space checkout space main. Now I will give git pull. Already updated. If I give git fetch, now if I give git space branch, okay, let me just give git space checkout space GitHub. Simple. And I'll add all these comments in the chat box, so don't worry. Like git space checkout space hyphen b git branch. And to push, like git space origin space the newly created branch, so that will create thing. And another way to switch between the branches in your local system, the command is git space checkout space the branch name. So, and to list out the branches present in your local system, the command is git space branch space, and just type enter. So if I give git space branch, it will show in which branch I'm currently present. And currently I'm there in GitHub branch. So this is how you create the branches and commit. Let's try to commit a file to the GitHub branch. Let's create a new file called file3.txt, and let's say they created file3 in GitHub branch. Simple. And as usual, git space add space dot. We are informing Git that we have added a file, and we are creating a checkpoint which says like we have created a file. I have to give a message. Okay. Created file3 in GitHub branch. And now to push it to the current branch, git space origin space the branch which is present. So the branch is GitHub. So now if I do that, file3 will be present only in the GitHub branch and not in any other branches. So let me just refresh it. And like I said, in the GitHub branch, we have file1 and file3. And in the main branch, we just have file1. And in the test branch, we have file1 and file2. So this is how you work with branches. Like you can create multiple branches based on the versions or whatever you call it. And you can have the previous code as well as the new code in the same place instead of creating multiple folders. So this is how you do the branching stuff. And yes, this is just listing out the branches. Like here we did right, here we gave, and we went to the main branch. So this is just that slide. Okay, so if you created this part, just let me know in the chat box, like you understood like what branching is. If not, don't worry, we'll be getting a session recording if you fill the feedback form. So yeah, or also you can join our Microsoft Club Discord server. We'll be posting the links over there as well. So make sure to join that. Okay, then I'll move on with the next topic because time is of the limit and time is of the essence. Sorry. And yeah, I'll go with the issues concept. And I'll show you like where particularly we have that issues thing. Like if you go to your repository and click on issues, this is how you go to the issues page. So the reasons why we have this issues page is, let's say you're working on a project and you are wondering how to implement a particular feature, and you want to seek help, get help, like you want others to contribute to your project. So at that time, what you can do is you can just go to issues and create a new issue and type need help with what's say pull request with issue template. This is just a comment. Usually, when we create an issue in open source projects, they'll be having a template. Like it won't be blank. Okay, like by default, they'll be having some template which you have to fill, which will describe the issue that you're facing in a proper manner. They'll be having a template. So I'm just showing you how to create a simple issue. So once you have filled all this stuff, you can just submit the new issue, and this is how it will look. You can in the comment you can mention like the issue that you're facing and what you're expecting. And let's say that's one use case of having issues. Another use case is let's say you are looking at your friend's code, and like while you are setting up the project in your system, you're facing some issues, or you feel like this feature could be implemented in a different way. So to inform him, you can directly call him and inform. Yes, that's there. But how we do it in the coding world is we just go to the we just raise a new issue, and we just comment it over there that we are facing this so and so issue. Please try to fix it. So we can say like issue is a place where the developers communicate their needs and their issues are fixed related to any software. That's the use case of issues. And once the issue is resolved, what the repository owner will do is they'll just close it. Once the issue is fixed. So this is how you create and close issues in GitHub. We'll move on to the next topic, which is pull request. Okay. Yeah. In the main branch, we have file1.txt, and usually we create folders because we want to work on a particular feature separately, right? Same way, once the feature is done, you may want to bring that whatever feature you added into the main thing. So let's say we have the feature, we are testing out the features in the test branch, and let's say all these features, whatever we have tested here, right, in test 3, I mean in the test branch. Let's say all this stuff are final, and we want to bring whatever files which is present in test branch to the main branch, because in the main branch we do not have file2.txt. Consider file2.txt as a feature, okay, and we want to bring that particular feature to the main branch. Let's see how to do that. We do that by creating a pull request. So let's see how to create a new pull request. Of course, you can just click on any of these links, yes, but what I would prefer is go to the pull request tab and click on new pull requests, and here you see the arrow mark, right? Let me just zoom in a little bit. I guess this is fine. Like you have to specify from where you want to copy the code to which particular branch. So I want to bring the code from the test branch. I'll zoom out now. I want to bring the code from the test branch to the main branch. So once that's done, you can just directly create the pull request, and you can comment like trying to bring the features to the new branch. And like I said, even here, right, in open source projects, there'll be a template that you have to fill, which will have side headings like which issue that you are fixing, or is it a new feature. All the stuff will be there in the template, which these open source organizations will have. So once that is done, just click on create pull request, and that is it. Like you may, if you think that just by creating pull request the code will be visible, well, I would like to inform you that you are wrong. Like the name suggests, pull request is just a request. So to actually get the code from one branch to another branch, the repository owner, right, he has to go to the newly created pull request, and like if he is satisfied, right, like he'll be reviewing it, like he will go to the files changed, and usually in a project there'll be lots of lines, but this is just for testing purposes. So once he is satisfied with it, he'll just give a review, and he'll just submit the review. Yeah, usually that's what happens. Since I'm the repository owner, I cannot approve my own pull request. So usually that reviewing process happens, and once the repository owner is satisfied with your code, he will just he or she, right, they'll just directly click on this merge, and they'll just merge your pull request. And once the pull request is created, once it is successfully merged, you can see that the file 2, which was present in the test branch, is now present in the main branch. So this is how you create pull requests within your own branches. Like creating a new feature separately, and once the feature is complete, you bring it back to the main branch. This is how you do it. If you're clear in this part, let me know in the chat box. And of course, you can create within any branch. It's not like every time you have to create to the main branch only. Like if I go to pull request, and let's say I'm creating a new pull request, you can specify the branch where you want to bring the code. Like from the test branch, let's say you want to bring it to GitHub branch, yes, you can. That's the choice. As long as you have the branches, you are free to bring your code to any branch within the repository. So this is how you create a pull request within your own repositories. And now let's come to the forking part. Forking is similar to what is it, cloning, but that's a difference. The difference is you cannot fork your own repository. What I mean by this is like you cannot create a copy of your own repository in the same thing. Like if I go over here, and if I try to fork, right, I cannot. If I click on that, cannot fork because you own this repository and you are not a member of any organizations. So you cannot fork your own repository. So let me try to fork one of my accounts, like GitHub account slash. This is my main account, and let's say I'm going to repositories tab, and let's say I'm cloning this. I'm not cloning. Let's say I'm taking one fork now. What this will do is it will create a copy of this Kamal's repository in your account. Like if I go to the Fester's account, and if I click on repositories, you are getting a copy of somebody else's repository in your account. So that's the difference. Cloning will bring it to your system. Forking repository will bring it to your GitHub account. So that's the difference. Okay, so this is how you do it. And this is what forking does. Like it will bring someone else's code into your account. Of course, they'll also know that you have forked. Like if I go to this Linux thing, and let's say and if I click on this, right, oh, it's already forked. Yeah, if I click on this fork, he can easily see that this many people, like repository owner can easily see, like this many people have forked their repository. So yeah, this is what forking does, and this is what forking is, bringing someone else's code into your account. Of course, as usual, you can also clone this forked repository in your system. Like if I go to festusdgrt/linux, if I click on code, and if I try to clone it in my system, git space clone space that URL. That's how we clone it, and it will be available. Like it will allow me to clone, and I can also add some code in this and so what I will do now is I will open that Linux repository in VS Code, because next topic is again pull request, but there is a variation. It's for that only I'm doing this. So this is what forking means. And the last topic for the day is pull request part 2. Okay, like I showed here, Festus is account 1 and Kamal DGRT is account 2. So I want to contribute to Kamal's repository from Festus. Of course, both are me only in person, but I just let's say I want to contribute to someone else's repository. So what I have to do is I have to fork the repository to which I want to contribute. Once I have contributed, I have to clone it. Once I have cloned, I have to introduce a new feature, like whatever it is. So let me go to I have opened the Linux repository in my system, and what shall I give? Maybe here. Here I'll create a inside the distro folder. I'll create a file called readme.md, and let's say I'm just give distributions, because distro means distributions. Distributions. There are various Linux distributions, so that's just a shortcut. And let's say I'm adding like this folder contains the list of Linux, or GNU Linux, if you want to be very very specific. GNU Linux repos, Linux distros that I have experimented with and over the past 2 years. Something, and like as usual, I'll be having one empty line. And let's say I want to contribute, and so as usual, you have to inform Git that you have modified something or created something. So I'll give git space add space dot git space commit space -m, and here I'll give docs create readme.md or distros folder. I'm giving a valid commit message, and now I will just give git push and press enter. And by default, it will push to my account only. It will not push to Kamal's account. In Kamal's account, if you see the commit message, right, it is 5 days ago. But in my account, like in Festus DGRT, if you see, the recent commit is the one which we created just now. So to contribute from one account to another account, we create a pull request. Like in Festus account, we have the README file. Okay, this output. But in Kamal's account, if I go to this inside the distro folder, we do not have it. So what Festus will do is, Festus will create a pull request. So like I said, to create a pull request, just go to the main account where you want to contribute. I'm just going to click on the Kamal DJT account, and in that click on pull request. Click on new pull request. And here it is not between the branches. No, here it is between two different copy of the same repository. So you have to compare across fork, because fork means, again, like I said, it will create a copy of someone else's code in your GitHub account. So from Festus, I want to bring it to Kamal. Like you can see the arrow mark, right? So from my Festus account, I'm gonna bring the code to Kamal's account. And I'll just scroll down and create a pull request. I'll give some valid message also, like created file which just mentions that you are experimenting with Linux distro, some message, okay? And you can just create the pull request. And like I said, pull request is just a request until the repository owner. I mean, in Google Chrome, I have opened Festus, and in Firefox, I have the Camel account. So I will go to that. Yeah, in Firefox, I have the Camel account. So if I see the repository owner, right, which is again me from a different account, I can see that Festus has created a pull request, and he has contributed to my project. I'll just check the files, like here what he has done, and if I'm satisfied with it, I'll just say I'll click on this and I'll directly approve it. If say I want him to add some more things, I'll just click on request changes. But since this is just me and this is just demo purposes, I'm just gonna say like happy with what you've done. Some message. Done. Come off Festus, which again is me only, and I'm just gonna submit my review. And once the review is submitted, since I am the repository owner, I can directly merge it and some splash and merge. And that is it. Like if Festus, right, if he goes to the pull request that he created, for him also it will be updated, and in Firefox for Kamal also it will be updated. So if I go to code and if I go inside the distro, I can see that a readme file has been created in Kamal's account. So this is how you contribute from different projects or different repositories. You fork it, you clone it to your system, you add some files or modify some files, you commit those files, you push those files, and after you push, you create a pull request so that whatever code you have contributed gets merged in the main project or wherever you are contributing. So this brings us towards the end of our session. So like we have already we have in the registration form, you guys had filled some asked some questions, so we'll be answering those. And if you have any doubts, again you can put in the chat box, that's also there. But let's go over the questions which we have got in the registration form. What we should know, need learn still. Okay, I do not know what they mean by that. But for learning Git and GitHub, at least for this particular session, there is no prerequisite. You can just join and you can learn. I hope you found this session useful. And what programming languages are most useful in career development? Again, that depends from company to company. But what I can say is learn JavaScript, because most companies are using either React or Angular to bring create their web pages. So I would say learn JavaScript. Before learning JavaScript, let's make sure that you are clear with the concepts of web development, and then go with JavaScript. What are the most important skills required to get a good job with high package? Please reply. Okay. The willingness to learn, adapt, and relearn. That's the thing. Like, if you are able to learn on your own, like if you are able to get some resources and implement whatever you have learned, like learning itself is a skill. Okay, like that most people lack. But yeah, learning itself is a skill. If you are willing to learn a lot of stuff, if you are willing to experiment with a lot of different languages and frameworks, you will definitely get a good package. A good job with a good package. And yes, you have to be good at whatever you are doing. I mean, if you are focusing on web development, I say like very good at it and build some projects. But let's say you have interest in cloud, then make sure you are clear with the basics of web, and then you can side by side learn cloud as well. I want to know how to create multiple folders in my repo using GitHub. Okay, it's similar to how we create files, right? Let me open the previous repository. Instead of files, what you have to do is just click on the new folder icon, and let's say this is folder 1. And again, you can give folder 2, and you can create another folder. But again, since the folder does not contain any file, Git will not track, because Git is used to track only files. And in case in between there is a folder, and inside the folder specified, it will track. But for empty folders, it will not track. So I hope that answers this particular question. Is this certificate useful? Well, this is just a learning session, but of course you can add it in your profile that you have participated in an extracurricular activity conducted by a college, and using whatever you have learned over here, you have done some projects. I mean, you have used Git and GitHub to host your projects. All this stuff you can mention. Will the certificate be provided for this? Yes, you'll be getting the certificates probably by the end of this month or maybe next month. Internship, do we okay, from this session you cannot create internship, but of course if you develop some skills and learn new stuff, you can definitely get some internships. Is there any certificate? Yes, there is certificate. Okay, everybody's asking about certificate. You will be getting certificates, man. Can you tell the difference between Git and GitHub? I think that was covered, but if I have to give a answer in one line, I would say Git is used to keep track of changes, and GitHub is used to store all these changes in a cloud platform. Yes, you can. Which programming language will give high package salary in future days? JavaScript. But again, if you're interested in app development, you can also learn lots of other languages such as Swift or Flutter or Flutter is SDK. You can learn Dart. Yeah. Roll number, do not know. Well, that's a very good question. Registration number will have only integers or numbers. Roll numbers will have alphabets in between. If you have not received your roll number, that's fine. Just ask your class counselor or your coordinator, they will be able to provide you with that. How branching works, I guess that was covered. Can you explain about using branches in Git? Yes, that was covered. Will it be from basic? Yes. Can we share our ideas through this meet? Of course you can. We have the chat section. You can also unmute and ask. And how can I join to this Microsoft Club? Well, that's a very good question. Usually what happens is during the start of your semester or in between your semester, you'll be receiving a form from your class counselors or your coordinators. That in that form you have to give your choice as Microsoft Club. And once you have filled it, we as the club, the leads will be getting your responses and will be giving you a confirmation mail that you are a part of this club and these are the stuff which you are doing. Make sure to participate. What is the use of this program? Well, if you join this session and you will know like how to contribute to open source projects and how to work around with Git using command line, not the GUI, using the command line. How can we survive without coding in Microsoft? Well, if you're good at managing people, right, that itself is a skill. Or you can also, if you still want to be in the technical side, you can learn data visualization using different tools. Like we have Power BI, we have Tableau. You can learn those stuff. Those don't involve any coding. So that's the thing. Or you can learn about cloud, but there will be a slight short scripting involved, but it's not that much coding. So this is how you can survive in Microsoft without coding. Okay, now let's know what are the comments which we got in the registration form. I'm looking forward. Okay, fine. How can I become the node? I thought I covered that. Do we get internship? And it's a paid or free? It depends on where you are applying. Looking forward. Okay. Can you please mention a domain name? Okay, you can mention like just consider software engineering tools. It is just one of the tools. Like what we learned in this presentation. Yes, you can add this certificate in your you can post a certificate in your LinkedIn. Yeah, coming to the last comment, I hope you learned something. Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us now. Will we get a recording of the session? If you are Aditi, can you share that feedback form in the chat?
Yes, what? Can you
Like,
please repeat?
could you please share the feedback form?
Yeah, here it is.
So yeah, if you fill this feedback form, you will be getting a certificate as well as a link to the recording. Another way to get the recording link is join our Microsoft Club server in Discord, and I can even share the link. HTTPS advice/mclub-s. Invite not reached. Really? Okay.
Wait,
If I click on this, yes, it is taking me to Discord. This is working. And
I'll just check the feedback form link. It's working for me.
if I go to the new tab and paste it and check, yes, it is working, Rishita. Please check from your end. It's working. And before leaving, if possible, can you all, try to come in video so that we can take as a quick snapshot as a proof that we have conducted events. Yeah, worked. Okay. Hello. Change layout. File. So yeah, if possible, can all of you come on videos, please? I mean, turn on your cameras. We'll just take a quick snapshot as a proof that we have conducted the event. And we'll be adding this in our club report, and we'll be sending it this to the student development cell. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for switching on, Aditi. So team, if possible, please switch on your camera. Okay, yeah, Sritada is there. Nice. Hey Goku, Rishi is here, Tanvi is here. Awesome. Just make sure to fill the feedback form. I will just remind that once again. Oh, we have Shrija. Hi. We have. Hi, Rishi. Goku. And oh, we have Kartikeya. Nice. Oh, we have Kausan as well. Okay, I guess this. Oh, we also have the technical lead. Hi, Manoj. So yeah, thanks for joining us the session, guys. I hope you found it useful. Aditi, if possible, can you give the vote of thanks?
So I hope you guys liked the session. First of all, I would like to say thanks a lot for joining this session. And today's webinar was full of knowledge and all the interesting things here. It gave us deep insights about the topic and also revealed some interesting facts about Git and GitHub. I really thank Kamal Sharma for this outstanding session. And also, without you guys, this event won't be a huge success. So, on this note, I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you guys who took part in today's event. And thank you guys. And please do not forget to fill the feedback form. The link is there in your chat section. Thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, even Narasimha turned up. Hi. I'll just share the feedback link once again, and we'll end the meet here.
Yeah.
Once you fill the feedback form, you're free to leave the meeting. Anyway, we'll be ending the call before that, but just saying. You're welcome, Chris. I hope you found it useful. Make sure to fill all these feedbacks in the feedback form as well. And if you would like to be informed about future events, make sure to join our Discord server. Thank you for the feedback, Rishi, Rishita, Abhi. Yeah. Just make sure to fill the feedback form once again. That's what I would say, so that you can get your certificate as your participation.
I guess we can end the meet now.
Yeah, you can. Okay, so have a great rest of the day. See you all in the next session. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.